like that, you don't know. I can't wait to get you all alone. Once I'm in, there ain't no letting go. My mind games until you lose control.
Oh, hold on. Uno momento. Give me a second. We're live. We're live. We're live. Hey, we're live, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? What's going on, traders? Welcome back and happy Money Freaking Monday. Woo, am I excited to be here, guys. Last week was a rockin' week in the market. My goodness. I mean, last week was killer. And I'm really excited for what this week is going to bring us. I mean, I see a lot of opportunity across the board, guys. And I'm just excited to be here. It was an amazing weekend for me. I hope you guys had a really good weekend as well. And I'm just really stoked to be here today, right? The market's been on fire. You guys have been on fire. You guys have been crushing it. I've been crushing it. Across the board, we've been winning consistently, guys. And I mean, it's an amazing thing to see just everybody coming in and just progressively getting better day over day over day over day. And like seeing you guys just crush the market and lock in amazing profits and just doing the right things correctly and just a lot of this momentum, just carry that momentum from last week into this week, guys, and you guys are going to crush it again, all right? But again, hit me with a big ol' good morning inside of chat if you guys are here. And then if you are over on YouTube right now, hit me with a big old good morning as well. What's up, Lawrence? Good morning on the tube. Aman, what's up? Good morning. XMZ8989, good morning, boss. How you doing? And if you guys are inside a chat, what are you waiting for? Come on, hit your boy with a big ol' alpha day trading. Good morning. I mean, if I got to yell it, if I got to scream it to get you guys awake, I will yell it, I will scream it. Come on now. Logan, what's up, brother? Good morning. Zach Attack, what's up, playa? Good morning. Tyler, Trader Adam Stir, Mr. Cole's in the house, ready to rock and roll. Corey, April, the Sizzler. Tim's been here holding it down. Steve and Mr. Kevin. What's up, traders? Good morning. And I know there's a lot more individuals here. I don't know what you guys are doing. Like you gotta get me to say, like, hit me with a good morning 5 more times before I get my good morning. Come on, that's all I ask for. I just want you to say good morning. That's it. Susan, I see Susan inside the chat. What's up, Susan? Good morning. And then again, if you guys are on YouTube right now, what's up, Joe? What's up, Rick Green? Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Eric. Frank, how y'all doing today? Good morning. So let's dive into it, guys. Now begins the pre-market rundown where I'm going to get you guys prepared for the day with what am I looking at, what are my plans for the day, what am I looking at doing, how am I looking to navigate this market and make money, right? Give you the complete overview and the breakdown regarding the SPY and the Qs and my game plans for today as well. We'll talk about some penny stocks. We don't really have a lot of penny stocks looking great today. Penny stocks have been slow the last couple of weeks, so probably see more slowness this week. That's just kind of my expectations based on what we have moving in pre-market. But we'll take some time and review what's gapping up. If you guys have any stocks on your watch list, we'll take a look at those as well. We'll have plenty of time. And then we'll be discussing Tesla, NVIDIA, and then DoorDash. Those stocks look pretty good today. I'll give you guys my breakdown and my game plans as well. All right? But pre-market rundown starts now. We're going to have some fun, get you guys prepared for today's trading session so you guys can come in confidently, strategically, navigate this market like a pro, and put the odds in your favor of winning and making some money today, guys. All right? So, as always, we start with the economic calendar. And this week is not a data-heavy week. So this week, we're pretty much in the clear. 400 of the 500 companies regarding the S&P 500 have already reported. So a lot of the big names have already reported. The only other big name that we're really waiting for is going to be NVIDIA. And I think NVIDIA is coming not next week, but the week after. It's like 22nd or the 27th of November. So we got NVIDIA reporting earnings. But other than that, 400 of the 500 companies have already reported earnings. So earnings season pretty much wrapping itself up. The last couple of weeks were some pretty data-heavy weeks, and again, this week is a pretty dry week when we take a look at the economic calendar. So let's just really focus on today, right? We'll talk about tomorrow on Wednesday as tomorrow on Wednesday comes. You got Jay Powell speaking a couple of times this week on Wednesday and Thursday. So there's going to be some key events that are taking place before market, during market, with Jay Powell speaking here Wednesday and Thursday, but we're pretty much in the clear, guys. Today, you don't really have anything going on. At 11 a.m., you have Fed Cook speaking. That's something to be mindful of, but that's at 11 o'clock. That's usually when we start scaling back and dialing back our day anyway, closing up until, 11:30 is when we normally start wrapping it up. But you do have Fed Cook speaking today at 11 a.m., and then other than that, you really have nothing on the economic calendar for today. So we are in the clear, all right? Let's go right into the technicals. Let's take a look at the SPY. And let me give you guys my overview and my game plan for the day as far as what are my expectations, okay? And right now, at first glance, we're pretty overextended to the upside, right? Every single day last week, we're just straight up, straight up, straight up. Every day we gap up, push, gap up, push, gap up, push, gap up, push. Today is the first day that we are not, well, actually, we are going to be gapping up. I looked at that incorrectly. We closed at 434.69 on Friday. Right now we're at 435.44. So another gap up day. That'll be the 6th day in the row that we see the SPY and that we see QQQ gapping up again. And so again, let's go right back to the daily. And I mean, at first glance, we are very overextended to the upside. And I just want to keep that in the back of my mind that we're very overextended to the upside and we are coming into a lot of resistance. And that could lead to a pullback, not a dump, not a crash, a pullback. Pullbacks are good. Pullbacks are healthy. We need pullbacks so we can get our next leg up. And so what I want to be mindful of today coming into this week is, hey, we are very overextended to the upside. We are coming into a lot of overhead resistance, and it's very possible that we start to see the next leg down. We start to see that much needed healthy pullback before we can actually see the market continue higher into the end of the year, which is everybody's expectations. Right now, the expectation is, hey, we'll probably see November and December, right, overall, some upside, right? Close the year higher than where we were at here in October, right? And again, that's just going back and looking at history, right? Historically, November, December are some pretty positive months in the market. Okay, now there's a lot going on right now, right? You have the war going on. You have the fact that the Fed may raise rates again come December 13th. And you just always got to go look at the CME Fed Watch tool to see exactly what the market has priced in regarding the probabilities of the Fed raising rates. Right now, for some reason, it's loading. And so right now, if you go for December 13th, right, you actually see that there's a 90% probability that the Fed holds rates steady, right? That we will not raise rates, and there's a 0% probability that the Fed will actually start cutting rates. We know that's not going to happen. If anything, we know that there is a pretty good chance that the Fed may raise one more time by the end of the year. Jay Powell has made that known several times over the last couple of months. Again, they just held rates steady. And again, right now the market is pricing in a 90% chance that the Fed holds rates steady again in the December 13th meeting. So at this point in time, that could be the catalyst, right, that sends the market to the downside if we do see the Fed raise rates. The market's forward-looking. The market will start pricing that in. But right now, right, there's a 90% chance that the Fed holds rates steady, that they don't actually raise rates come December 13th. So again, going back and looking at that, that's a catalyst that could drive the market. And there's a lot of stuff going on. So we just have to play it one day at a time. But at this point in time, based on everything that took place over the last few weeks, there's not really any upcoming catalyst that we know that would necessarily send the market back down to make lower lows and, again, not have, a good run up over these next couple of months. Historically, the market does well November into December. But what I was getting at is that December 13th meeting, if they do raise rates, but the market's still priced in that 90% probability, that could be the catalyst that sends the market back down. But again, you still have a month until the next meeting. So for right now, we're pretty much in the clear. Right now, there's a lot of upside. Do I think there could be a short-term pullback? Absolutely, before seeing that next leg on up. But overall, Do I think the market is overall going to move higher, especially leading up to the December 13th meeting? I think so. I mean, there's, again, no catalyst that really suggests, hey, I mean, that's going to bring the market back on down. For now, I think we're in the clear, at least leading up into the December 13th meeting. And again, looking back from the inception of the S&P 500, November and December historically are positive green months. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not biased. I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish. But again, I don't want to be, like, I think the market's going to dump and only be looking for shorts, for example. And I don't want you guys thinking the same thing. Like, the market's too overextended. It makes no sense. How are we moving higher? It's got to fall back down. And you just miss all of this upside opportunity into the end of the year. And right now, I think there is a lot more upside opportunity into the end of the year. So again, I just want to explain what I'm thinking, my thought process, what I'm looking at, how I'm trying to get positioned in the market to, again, help you guys make similar decisions, right, based on logic and fact. And so I don't want anybody coming in saying, yeah, this just doesn't make sense. There's a lot going on. We have to dump on down. You come in too biased to the short side and you miss all of the upside opportunity, which I do think there is some still good upside opportunity. But back to today, right? We're overextended from last week. We're going to be gapping up again today in the market. But I do think at some point in time, we need a little bit of a pullback, right? We need a healthy, much-needed pullback before we can see that next leg higher, which I do believe we see the market move higher into the end of the year, at least right now at this point in time. So right here on the SPY, there's a lot of this daily resistance between 437.14 and 438.14. There's going to be a lot of overhead resistance from the daily right up there. One other thing that I want to point out as well is this multi-month downtrend, right? At some point, we're going to come up and most likely hit this multi-month downtrend, and that's going to be an area of resistance, right? That's where the SPY technically could push up to before seeing that much needed pullback and then maybe getting that next leg higher into the end of the year. So that's one extra area that I want you guys paying close attention to over the next couple of weeks, because we are getting very, very close into that multi-month downtrend, okay? But back down to this daily zone of resistance, that's between 437.14 and 438.14, right? There's a lot of overhead resistance. That could be where we start to see that much-needed healthy pullback, maybe come down and close some of these lower gaps before overall getting that next leg higher. So that's a key area that I want you guys focused on today, right? In the first area to the short side, right, the first area of support, we're just looking at these lower gaps, right? We have a lot of gaps here from Wednesday into Thursday, from Thursday into Friday. Those are going to be where I expect to see the SPY pull back to before getting that next leg higher, is at least coming down and trying to close some of these lower gaps along this much needed healthy pullback. Which gap is it going to fill? Which gap is it going to close? We don't know, but we just need to be keeping those gaps on watch, right? So we have our multi-month downtrend we're getting close to. We have all of this key daily resistance, and we're pushing up into all of this key daily resistance, and we are very overextended to the upside, right? Looking for that much needed healthy pullback, possibly this week, okay? So those are the key areas I want you guys to have right from the daily time frame. Now let's go right into our 5-minute, and let's really just fine-tune these levels. Okay, we have that daily overhead area of resistance between 437.14 and 438.14, but I want to come back and look at Friday, right? And I want to look at this zone right here from Friday between 435.82 and 435.90. That's going to be like my line in the sand. That's going to be my make or break today for the SPY. Not the high a day, but this zone right here between 435.82 and 435.90, okay? If the SPY breaks that line in the sand, right, and we hold it, I do see a push through Friday's high a day up into that next overhead zone of daily resistance if we get a break and hold above that key zone. And again, I'm just looking back at Friday and looking at the price action and how price developed at that zone, right? We came up, put in a little bit of a double top, came back up, hit it, got rejected, and this is a false breakout through that zone. And I know that it's a false breakout. I see that it's a false breakout because how price is coming back up and respecting that level again here in pre-market. We have initial resistance, we drop, come back up, hit it, we drop, come up through it, break it, we fall back below it, and now we're coming back up and retesting that level as pre-market resistance today. That's why that's a key level for me. Not Friday's high a day, but this zone right here between 435.82 and 435.90. That's going to be my make or break. That's my line in the sand, guys. Okay, and like I said, if the SPY gets above that level and we hold that level today as support, I do believe, right, we have a easy shot to just break above Friday's high a day and continue higher. Where to? That next overhead zone of daily resistance that we just discussed. That's between 437.14 and 438.14. However, we always need to have an opposite plan in place just in case, right? That pullback could start today, right? That pullback may not start until we get into the 437s. But if we see the SPY push up into the zone and we fail to break it, right? And we clearly see, yep, that's resistance. Price is developing well, suggesting, right? We can see that next leg down or that start of the pullback. That's going to be an area that I'm considering and looking to be playing puts off of if we fail to break through it and hold above it today, right? Then I just got to look left. Where can we see the SPY go? Well, my main target to the short side, if we do start to see that pullback, is going to be this first gap level here on the SPY. So going into Thursday's high a day. So let's just go ahead and fine tune this level. Let's go into Thursday's high a day and run that all the way up into the gap up low of day here on Friday. Okay, and that's where I'm identifying this gap from Thursday's high a day and then Friday's gap up low of day. There's this big gap on the daily, and this is going to be the area to the short side that I would be targeting here on the SPY. So the first key area of support to the downside would be 433. And if we ever see the SPY fall below 433 and stay below it, we would be entering that daily gap. And we could see a nice drop to close that first gap down at 430.92. Okay, so those are going to be my first main profit target levels to the short side if we get reason to short the SPY today. First target, 433. Second target, 430.92. But there will be some pit stops along the way down. I don't expect to see the SPY just go straight down without having some bounces, right? I'm just going to look left at some of Friday's levels and say, hey, if we do get short today off that key level of resistance, before getting to that 433 level, are there any other areas that we can come down to that we need to be mindful of and look to take some profits, right? I call those pit stops. The first pit stop here on the SPY would be this zone right here from Friday between 434.81 and just call it 435. Psychological support. So that's going to be between 434.81 and 435. That's going to be the first pit stop. Then I'm going to be looking at these lows right here from Friday, down around the mid 433s. Then that gap level and those gap targets that we were just discussing. So there will be a couple of pit stops along the way down, right? This will be the first pit stop right here if we get short, then back up underneath these lows from Friday. Then my main targets, which is going to be that gap up low of day, 433, and then possibly to come on down and close that gap down around 430.92 here on the SPY, okay? So if you guys are just tuning in, what's my line in the sand? My lits, that's between 435.82 and 435.90 on the SPY. That's my make or break. If we cannot break above it, I'm playing puts today. If we can break above it and stay above it, I'm playing calls today. That's the key area that I'm keeping on close watch right at the start of today's trading session. Okay, we know how much higher the SPY could go, and we know how low the SPY could go. And we know that this is going to be a make or break for the SPY, in my opinion. This is going to give us some opportunity to look for an entry possibly right at the start of the day. Whether that's long, whether that's short, calls, puts, I don't really care. I just want to find myself on the right side of the trade. And that's going to be that key area that I'm keeping on close watch here right at 9:30, guys. Okay? So that's going to be the analysis on the SPY, right? Where we could see the SPY go up to, right? If we see that much needed healthy pullback, how low could the SPY go, right? And then what's that key area that I'm watching today, that make or break, that line in the sands, okay? And my personal game plans for today as well. Before we move into the Qs, do we have any questions regarding the SPY, my analysis, my expectations, or my game plans for the day? Do we have any questions whatsoever regarding the SPY? And then we'll move on to Q. NVIDIA is on the 21st. Gotcha. Thanks, boss. NVIDIA on the 21st. So when is the 21st? That's not going to be next week, but the week after. So we got 2 weeks for NVIDIA earnings. All right, so do we have any questions regarding the SPY before we move on to QQQ, guys? Nope. All right, let's move on to the Qs. So QQQ, right? Line in the sand, the make or break for today here on the Qs. It's going to be this daily zone between 368.64 and 369.14. That's my make or break here for the Qs, guys. Okay? And again, I'm just going right into the daily, taking a look left, right? Looking at Friday's high a day, looking at some of these other key touch points we've had right at that zone. You can see it a little bit more clearly here on a 1 hour time frame, taking out pre-market, post-market. And you can just look back and see that there's been a lot of prior support, right? High a day before the gap up, turn support resistance, turn support, turn support. We can see that this has been an area that's been hit several times, and it is also Friday's high a day as well. So that's how I identified that key zone, that line in the sand, here today for the Qs, between 368.64 and 369.14. But here's one thing I want to talk about with the Qs that's slightly different than the SPY. And of course they're going to be different. But look at the SPY, right? We know where the SPY could be going. We talked about that next key area of overhead resistance and then that downtrend, right? So we know that if we do see the SPY push higher above that key daily zone of resistance, we know we could see the SPY up into this multi-month downtrend next, right? We just discussed that. Take a look at the Qs. The Qs, we have a lot of overhead resistance, that key area that we just discussed between 368.64 and 369.14. But what's the biggest difference when we look at the Qs compared to the SPYs? The Qs are actually already sitting right at this downtrend. So not only are we sitting at some key daily resistance, we're also sitting right at that multi-month downtrend, right? The SPY still has some upside before we hit that downtrend. The Qs are already sitting right at it. So I want to put a lot of focus on the Qs, because if we see the Qs get stuffed at this key daily zone of resistance and we fail to break that downtrend, I would want to get short on the Qs, right, below those two key areas, which would mean we would see some downside with the SPY as well, even if the SPY is not quite at its multi-month downtrend. So that's the biggest difference between the two that I wanted to discuss, that I'll be putting a little bit more focus here on the Qs based on where the Qs are at, based on the Qs location. We're a lot closer to some key resistance compared to the SPY. So that's going to be a key area that I'm watching today here on QQQ. And kind of the same thing, I'm just looking left to see, hey, right, if we do start to pull back, because we are overextended to the upside into a lot of resistance here on the Qs, just like the SPY, where could we see the Qs go? Well, the first area to the downside is going to be this daily gap, right? And so let's just go identify that daily gap, make sure that we're really dialed in here. And that is the daily gap. So that's going to be like the first areas that I'm targeting to the short side here on the Qs if we do fail to break the overhead zone of resistance and if we do get rejected off that multi-month downtrend. That would be my first target to the short side, would be closing that gap that was created from Thursday into Friday. Okay, and that gap level is down between 363.68 and 364.52. But here's the deal. What if we don't start to see that pullback today? What if we continue to push higher and break higher? Where can we see QQQ go? Well, again, we have this key overhead zone of resistance. It's right around this downtrend. So that's a key area that I'm looking at. But if we see the Qs breaking that zone of resistance and that downtrend, right, and we see that there's potential to move higher to the upside, how much higher do I think the Qs can go? The next key area of overhead resistance would be up between 371.19 and 371.84. So if we do see the Qs breaking that zone of resistance, breaking that multi-month downtrend, and looking like it wants to push higher, that's going to be the next overhead zone of resistance that I would be targeting if I'm looking to play calls here. That's up between 371.19 and 371.84 here on the Qs. So right back down into the 5-minute time frame. We took a look at the 1 hour, pre-market, post-market turned off, gives us a little bit more clarity here. Okay, right into the daily, we see that this is that key daily downtrend. We have key daily support, key daily resistance overhead. So we got our levels really fine-tuned, really dialed in right into the 5-minute. My line in the sand is that daily zone that we were just discussing between 368.64 and 369.14. That's the first key area that I'm going to be keeping on watch to see how price is developing. And we already know that it's right around that downtrend. I know you don't see the downtrend here on the 5-minute because I turned it off, but we already know that it's right at that downtrend as well. So we have 2 layers of overhead resistance. That's my line in the sand. If we see the Qs break that line in the sand and we pull back and price is developing well, I know that's also looking to be a break of that downtrend. We're also breaking and holding that key zone of resistance as solid intraday support. That would be, the confirmation that I would want to see to look to play calls here on QQQ. And where would we look to play calls to? That next overhead zone of resistance between 371.19 and 371.84. However, what's the short plan in place just in case, right? You always need to have an opposite plan in place. What if we are unable to break that zone? What if we get stuffed at that downtrend? That's a key area of resistance. And if price is developing well off that multi-month downtrend at this key daily zone of resistance, that's going to be an area where I'm looking to play the market short and start to look for some puts here on QQQ, right? Not for a dump, not for the next low, but a nice, healthy pullback that's going to be much needed before we could really see the market continue to the upside. Again, we're very overextended into a lot of this overhead resistance, okay? So that would be the main area that I'd be targeting to the short side is that daily gap from Thursday's high of day into Friday's low of day. That gap is down between 363.68 and 364.52. But just like the SPY, there are going to be some pit stops along the way down. I don't expect to see the Qs just go straight down into that level. There are going to be some pit stops along the way down where we need to be looking to take some profits. Where's pit stop number 1? It's going to be this zone right here between 367.27 and 367.41. That's going to be the first area where, hey, I'm looking to maybe lock in some profits if we see price action and price development at that level, indicating maybe it bounces. Maybe that's an area where, hey, depending on price action, I want to be looking to lock in some profits prior to it getting down to close that daily gap. That would be the pit stop number 1, the first area that I'm looking to lock in some profits. Again, look left. Where would be the next area to the downside? I would say this zone right here between 366.30 and 366.48. Then back up against all of these lows from Friday, then we would be targeting that daily gap fill between 363.68 and 364.52 here on QQQ. But again, it all comes down to this line in the sand, the lits between 368.64 and 369.14. That is the make or break. If we fail to break that level, that's where I'm looking to play some puts. If we do break that level and hold it, we'd also be pushing through that multi-month downtrend. That's an area where I would be looking to then play some calls for the next leg up, right? We could see some of that momentum continue into today. We may continue to rip to the upside. We may continue to be very, very, very overextended across the board into a lot of resistance. I'm still thinking there could be a nice, healthy pullback around the corner. That may not take place today, right? That could happen Wednesday, Friday, maybe next week. We could still see the market squeeze to the upside and be very overextended, which would even make me more considerate to be looking for a short-term pullback opportunity in the market. But at least for right now, I got my line in the sand on watch, okay? The market's going to do what the market wants to do. I can't control it, right? That's why I don't come in with bias. I'm not long bias. I'm not short bias. I can't control what the market wants to do. Maybe we see a lot of that continuation or that momentum, right, continue into today. We may see another 4-point move to the upside. And if that's what we see and that's the opportunity that's in front of us, that's the side of the trade we'll find ourselves on. But if we do not see that momentum continue into today and we do hit all of this overhead resistance, being we're very overextended to the upside, I'm pretty confident that we could start to see that much needed pullback, and that would be an area where I'm looking to place some puts today here on QQQ. Okay? So that's going to be my game plan, my analysis, and my overview with the Qs as well. So you guys are fully up to speed and prepared here on the SPY. And same thing, you are fully up to speed and prepared there on QQQ. Exactly what am I looking to do today? What's my game plan? How am I looking to approach the market? And how am I looking to make money in the market today? All right. So do we have any questions regarding the SPY or the Qs before we dive into Tesla? Tesla looks pretty good today, guys. And I want to give you guys my game plan over on Tesla. And we got 57 viewers on YouTube. We got 158 viewers on TikTok. What have I been saying the last couple of weeks? I said if we ever get 100 concurrent viewers on YouTube and 100 likes, I'm going to pick one person and give them a free membership to our trading program. That's literally like $2,800 in value. So someone's going to get $2,800 of value to join our trading education program. If we get some of you beautiful individuals from TikTok over to YouTube, where, I mean, it's a much better format. You can see my screens, you can see the analysis, you can see the levels, the breakdown. If you guys have questions, I can review your stocks as well. It's a much better experience. And so if we ever get 100 concurrent viewers and 100 likes, I'm going to pick somebody, right? I'm going to give them a free pass to our program. It's like $2,800 value that I'm just going to give away. When we hit 200 people and 200 likes concurrently, I'll give someone else a free membership. 300, someone else. 400, someone else. So that's your incentive to bring your beautiful faces from TikTok over to YouTube. Come on over, join the stream, like the stream, and subscribe to the channel as well. We do these pre-market rundowns from 8:30 to 9:30 every single morning, Monday through Friday. This is where you want to be to get the game plans and the analysis for the day. It's a no-brainer. This is where you guys want to be. So we're 40 people away from someone getting a free membership. So the second we get 100 people and 100 likes, someone's getting a free membership. So let's make it happen, guys. And if you guys are like, okay, well, what's your YouTube channel, Josh? The link's in the bio. Link is in the bio. Or just go to YouTube and type in Alpha Day Trading. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, so when we go live, you guys are notified. And then join the stream, like the stream, and I'm looking forward to, at some point, giving away a free membership. So no questions regarding the SPY and the Qs. We're all set. Fantastic. Let's move into Tesla, and then we'll have plenty of time to review some of your guys' stocks for today as well. Because I don't really see a lot of penny stocks. If you guys have a penny stock on watch, you need a second opinion, go ahead and type that up inside of chat. We'll review that. But Tesla today, a couple key areas that I want to be watching on Tesla. My key level, my line in the sand on Tesla is this overhead zone of resistance between 225.96 and 226.38. That's the make or break for Tesla. If Tesla holds this multi-day uptrend, we come on down and we hold this trend line, I see great potential for Tesla to come on back up to this overhead zone of resistance between 225.96 and 226.38. If we ever break that zone and hold that zone, I see room to 230 on Tesla. I would want to be playing Tesla long today. If Tesla comes down at the open and we see a good price reaction and good price development off this multi-day uptrend, then I would actually want to be looking to play some calls up into that overhead zone of resistance. First target. If Tesla can break that zone and hold that zone, we could see that momentum continue into today and see that continuation higher up to 230 here on Tesla. So I definitely see some great long opportunity today, right? If you don't want to look to get long off the trend line, that's fine. Just wait for the break and hold above that zone. And if we get that, you still have room from 226 to 230. But I'll be watching this multi-day uptrend to see how price develops, how price reacts, and if I see a solid low-risk area to get in long on Tesla, I want to be getting long off the trend line, taking some of my initial profits at 226, and then if we break and hold it, hold a runner up to 230 here on Tesla today, okay? But you always need to have an opposite plan in place just in case. You guys already know that. We know that we can be looking for a long off this trend line, or you guys can just literally wait for a break and hold above that key zone and then play that long up to 330. But what if Tesla comes through and just cracks this trend line? Well, hey, we're going from the bullish side of the trend line, and now we're going to the bearish side of the trend line. We're cracking uptrend support. This is where sellers could really start to move on in, and we may see that next leg down today on Tesla. How low do I think we can go on Tesla? Right, the first area to the downside that I see is this zone between 218.43 and 219.19. That would be my first area to the downside where I'd be looking to lock in some profits if I do get short on Tesla today for a crack of this multi-day uptrend. Okay, and if Tesla ever falls below that zone of support, I would be looking to see if Tesla could ever come down and close this daily gap between 206.05 and 211.63 here on Tesla. Okay, so your first area to the short side, your first target to the short side would be this zone between 218.43 and 219.19. And if we ever fall below that zone and stay below that zone, then I can see Tesla coming all the way back down to 211.63. And if we ever fall below and stay below 211.63 to come on down to 206.05 and close that daily gap. That would be my main target to the short side this week here on Tesla. And that's if we crack this multi-day uptrend. That's short plan number one. If we just open, come down, and crack this trend line, I want to be looking to play some puts and get short on Tesla. Okay, but there's another short plan that I have in place. That's if we actually do come down and hold this trend line. Again, I'd be playing some calls. But what if we come up into this overhead zone of key resistance and we don't break above it? Well, obviously, this is an area where I'm looking to take profit if I'm long on Tesla off that multi-day uptrend, right? And if we come up into that zone and we fail to break through it and price is developing well, that's an area where I would actually look to get short on Tesla for that leg down to where? That trend line. And then I would actually expect to see that trend line possibly crack and get that next leg down. So there's another area where I would actually look to get short on Tesla. That's if we come on up into this overhead key zone of resistance, and if we fail to break through it, that's where I would be looking to get short on Tesla today. That's that zone between 225.96 and 226.38. Where would I get short to? Well, into this trend line just in case it bounces. But if we do get short, it comes into the trend line, and that trend line ever cracks, I would hold a runner all the way down to this next lower zone of support. So there's a couple of different ways you could look to trade Tesla, right? We have two trade plans and game plans to the long side. We have two trade plans to the short side, right? Trade plan number one to the long side is entries off this uptrend for the next leg higher, okay? Or it's waiting for a break and hold above that key zone of support for the next leg higher. Those are your two long plans today, right? Short plan on Tesla. If we come down and crack this trend line, I'm looking to get short. Or if we come up into this key overhead zone of resistance, fail to break above, that's another area where I'm looking to get short as well for that next leg down. So there's a couple different trade plans to the long side to the short side, but Tesla looks fantastic, right? I really like how Tesla's been moving over the past few days. I like where it's at location-wise. I just think there's a lot of great potential, not even just today, but the next coming days as well here on Tesla. So Tesla's got priority on the watch list. Gets a lot of my focus at the start of today, and I'll be keeping this one on close watch right at this uptrend in this key daily zone of overhead resistance between 225.96 and 226.38 here on Tesla. And right now I'm just at the mercy of the market. Where does Tesla want to go at the open? I have no idea. I just need to sit back, be disciplined, be patient, and wait for Tesla to come to me and set up, if it's even going to set up and provide me with an opportunity in the first place. But I'm prepared. Two long plans, two short plans, right? I'm very confident in these levels, and I definitely want to prioritize Tesla and keep Tesla on high watch for today. All right, guys. Does anybody have any questions regarding Tesla, the analysis, these zones, or my personal game plans on Tesla for today? Do we have any questions before we just open up the floor and start reviewing some of your stocks for the day? Let's go, Alpha. Let's go. Steve. Appreciate it, boss. Got me all hyped up today. Right, so SPY, QQQ, and Tesla, my top 3 stocks for today. Okay, there's a lot of other stocks that have potential, but I don't think they're stocks that you guys should have all your focus on. I'll be looking at them periodically throughout the day, and if something sets up, I'll explain it to you guys inside of chat. But right now, the best opportunity is the SPY, the Qs, and Tesla. We got 3 amazing stocks, 3 amazing opportunities. This is where the focus goes for today. So let's open up the floor. If you guys have any stocks on your watch list that you want reviewed, you want a second set of eyeballs, go ahead and type that up inside of chat. And let's see. The Google, GOOGL, for a gap fill. Well, I want to start fresh, go right to the daily. And let's see what we got here on the Goog. So you had this initial gap here on Google, right there. Go ahead and mark up the lower end of the gap, mark up the top end of the gap, right? And where could we see the Goog go? Well, the first area to the upside that I see is going to be right up against that 20 EMA. But again, I don't put a lot of focus on the 20 EMA all by itself. The 50 SMA, yeah, it's a much stronger moving average that can be respected as support or resistance, right? We see here on the 23rd of October, it was respected as support. We came down and we bounced off of it. So that would be an area of overhead resistance, would be the 50 SMA, but it's also right at that daily gap level, right? So 133.50 to 134 would be like key overhead resistance if you're looking to get long for a possible daily gap fill on GOOGL. The bottom end of this gap is actually, let's just put it off the body. Let's play it safe. Let's put it off the body here. The lower end of this gap is going to be 128.16. All right, 128.16. Right into a 5-minute time frame, we see that we're going to have some support down at 128.16, but we are going to have resistance off Friday's high a day. We may not come all the way back down to 128.16. Right? You've already smacked that level a couple of times over the last couple of days, right? You actually had that level respected beautifully here on Friday, and you had a nice big push to the upside. We are going to be gapping up today on GOOGL. You may not see it come back down for an entry off 128.16. You may see a lot of this momentum play into and bleed into today. And so what are you looking for if you want to grab this long for a possible continuation play? You just want to see this thing break and hold over Friday's high a day. So that's what I would be looking for. If you don't come down to 128.16 and you see a lot of this momentum from last week bleed into today and you see a continuation to the upside, what I would say is just looking for a break and hold above Friday's high a day. That's going to be right around 129.54. Then you have a lot of potential all the way up to close that gap towards around 134 here on GOOGL. But here's what I want to do. I want to take Friday's high a day, that blue line, off, and I actually want to go grab a zone and mark up this entire zone because we had a lot of good price action and price development at that zone. Instead of just using one level of support, let's go ahead and identify this zone of resistance. I said support. Instead of just using that one level of resistance off Friday's high a day, let's really go back and look at that price development on Friday at high a day and establish that zone of resistance. That zone of resistance is right here between 129.44 to 129.52. So again, if you want to see some of that momentum play into today, you're expecting a continuation push. You want to see a break and hold above that zone. And your first target, 130, just because it's psychological. Then you're looking to see GOOGL potentially close that gap up towards around 134. But here's the deal. If you do not see that momentum bleed into today, and you don't see that break and hold for the next leg higher, that is a key area of resistance here on GOOGL. That could be an area where, hey, you can't break it. You have good price development. That could be an area where you look to play puts back down to that 128.16 and then back to the long side. Like, hey, could we actually see that gap get filled? So there's a couple of different opportunities here with GOOGL. Right? If you can break and hold that zone, you can see that continuation play today to the upside. But if you fail to break that zone and you start to drop on off, that could be that solid indication you're looking for. Maybe play some puts back down to the lower end of this gap at 128.16. Once again here on GOOGL. No, I did not discuss this one, but I just did for you, boss. So we looked at the SPY, the Qs, got the game plans established, and then Tesla looking sexy today as well. Riot, yeah. So I mean, I'm long across the board on crypto-related stocks. I told you guys a few weeks ago that I'm bullish on crypto until the end of the year, at least maybe into the first quarter of 2024. That I'm just bullish on crypto. I want to start getting more involved in the crypto space, not just long-term investments, which have been actively dollar cost averaging in, but even getting some short-term exposure to the crypto space, right? Whether that's actual crypto, right? Some altcoins that have potential to go multiple hundreds of percent to the upside, or whether that's crypto related stocks. And so what I've been doing is I've been I wouldn't even say dollar cost averaging in, but I've been scaling in to some of my top crypto related stocks, right? What are some of my top crypto related stocks? Well, we have MARA. I've been long on this for a few weeks now. RIOT, I've been long on this for a few weeks now. BITF, BITO, HIVE, and HUT. I've been long on these for a couple of weeks, just playing 6-month option contracts, right? Risky, but I'm going 6 months out, in my time horizon on, do I think the crypto market can be bullish? What's my outlook? I am bullish as far as my outlook. I just kind of went not too far out of the money, but I went 6 months out on some options across the board, and a lot of these are up 100% already on the options. There's not a lot of volume on them, but across the board in just the past few weeks, we've barely seen movement to the upside, but they're already gaining some traction, gaining some steam, and quite a few of these are up over 100% already on those contracts. But I still think there's a lot of great upside, right? I mean, I think there could be a short-term pullback here on BTC, which would cause a lot of these stocks to pull back as well, but just gives me more reason, right, to scale into these even more, because I do believe into the end of this year, early next year, there is some great upside here in the crypto space. And so I know that when Bitcoin starts to rip to the upside and Ethereum rips to the upside and these altcoins follow, what do we typically see? We see Riot and MARA get some attention first, and then we see some of these small cap crypto plays follow along. And that's what we've been seeing here over the past few weeks. Is RIOT is already up a few dollars from these lows, right? Take a look at MARA. MARA is already up, a couple bucks from these lows. And then again, across the board, you do see a lot of these crypto related stocks doing pretty well. Now, as far as like day trades, would I be looking to like day trade these? No, I'm just looking at over the next, say 6 months, and I'm going out into like March, April of 2024 with some calls on these top stocks that I just listed off. And they're doing well. I mean, look at RIOT. RIOT is going to be gapping up today, right? Going to be gapping up here just a little bit. MARA, gapping up a little bit as well. HIVE, HUT, a lot of these are gapping up, but I'm still going 6 months out. So as far as like in any opportunity like to day trade these, I don't really see a lot of, great opportunities as far as a day trade goes. But, thinking 3 to 6 months out, I still see some great upside potential across the board on those. Yeah, so my target, if you guys are wondering, like, what's my targets on some of these, right? It really depends on my target on Bitcoin. I mean, I think there could be a little bit of a pullback first. I do. Back down into like the low 30s, maybe even 28K. But yeah, I think, looking at, BTC, I mean, I see, mid 45, so another 10 to 15K to the upside. If we see that nice big 10 to 15K push to the upside in the coming months, my targets on MARA would be back up against these prior highs, right around 1571. So that's another, 50 to 60% to the upside on MARA. RIOT, I mean, I'm seeing some potential first to like 1424, and then potentially back up into the 19-ish region on RIOT. BITF, potentially back up into a lot of this resistance here at like 167-ish, possibly even up towards around 215. HUT, right? There's going to be some overhead resistance on HUT up around, 312, but then my final target would be the mid 450s. And then HIVE, there is going to be resistance here at 427, and then potentially up into the 660s. But again, I'm going out to like March, April of 2024. So we got plenty of time. I don't really care about each intraday move. I just really look at crypto, Bitcoin, some of these altcoins, Ethereum. How are we doing? Do we still show good upside? And right now, I'm just managing these 6-month out swing trades. And like I said, though, if we see Bitcoin come back down into the low 30s, that's going to be an area where I start to scale into some of these a little bit more, readjust my cost basis. And then the lowest I would want to see Bitcoin go would be like 28, right? The mid 28s, maybe back down to that 200 SMA, into this nice uptrends. That would be like the area that, it's like my line in the sand, right? Where I would still be interested in being long on crypto, long on some of these crypto-related stocks. The lowest I would want to see, Bitcoin go would be like the mid 28K. If we ever fall below that level, back down to the 25s, then that's where I start getting out of some of these option plays. Now, would I take a loss? Of course. Would they go to zero? No. But that would be an area where I would start to just start getting out, realize the loss, bite the bullet. But right now, I'm still, have a pretty strong outlook over the next, 3 to 6 months. And I think mid 40s up to 50K is, not unrealistic whatsoever. Do we have anything else to discuss? Anything on your watch list? Okay. Again, we got the game plan established here on the SPY. SPY, I'm definitely going to be keeping this one on high watch here at the start of the day, off that line in the sand. My dyslexia. 435.82 to 435.90. Key area that I'm watching here on the SPY at the start of the day. Okay, QQQ. We know that key area that I'm watching, but I actually like the SPY and its location more than the Qs. Right? I like the Qs. They're pretty similar, but out of the gate for a day trade, I'm looking more at the SPY here. QQQ, key line in the sand, 368.64 to 369.14. Main area that I'll be watching, followed by Tesla is my third and final stock that I'm going to be watching today at the start of the market. All right, guys. And for those of you that are inside of the Market Mastery program, those Zooms are open as early as 8 o'clock in the morning. You guys can come in and chill in the waiting room. I normally open it anywhere from like 9:30, like 9 to 9:30 is when it's open. But you guys can come chill in the waiting room. And, if we get wrapped up early, I can always admit you guys a little bit early. We're going to readjust our format here a little bit too, guys. So I'll fill you in on the readjustment, just trying to make sure we have, maybe 30 minutes prior to market open to talk to you guys before we start our day as well. But Anthony, what's up, brother? Zach, how you doing? Good morning, good sir. How are you? I'm doing fantastic. Ready to rock and roll and crush this day, man. Good morning. How you guys feeling today? Pretty good? Oh, you got like your yearly cold, don't you? So how would you rate like your mental capacity today as far as being focused, dialed in on a scale of 1 to 10? How would you rate it? So what is your decision for today based on that assessment? Maybe get into a demo account. Maybe just kind of back test a little bit today. I mean, instead of taking unnecessary risk, right? I mean, we can still get screen time and learn in a simulated account, right? Especially when we're not 100% clear. We don't need to be taking unnecessary risks. So that's a good option versus just sitting out. Still get some reps in, collect some data in a simulated account. That's what I would do. Yeah, or that's another good option. Maybe just go take care of your body, listen to your body, and get some rest, man. That's probably what you need, some rest. What's the temperature like outside? Is it pretty chilly? Is it? I mean, another thing too, man, vitamin D, dude. Like, just go out and lay in the sun for 10, 15 minutes. You'll start feeling a lot better. It's okay, man. I'll be in some really, really cold temps here around Christmas. We're going to Lake Tahoe, so I'm going to feel the pain of cold weather. Oh, so that's not bad. That's short weather for you, isn't it? How you feeling today, Zach? Pretty good, mentally dialed in, ready to attack it? Good. What are some intentions you have for the day? Some goals, man. Just list off a couple of them that you've set for the day. My bad, Zach. No, 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 no. Like, it was only 5 seconds. I heard some background on the other mic, so I just muted them. I didn't mean to mute yours. Don't hesitate, and that's good, man. I like it. No hesitation. So how do we get to the point of being able to react and not hesitate? What's the biggest thing that needs to happen on those trades? Exactly. Based on that criteria checklist that you have, based on what you use, VWAP, cloud indicator, right? Like your indications, your multiple separate reasons. That's how we're going to build confidence and get to the point of reacting versus hesitating. And then just build those plans. Understand the entry, your risk, your target. Make sure it's solid, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, and then just get positioned correctly, man. Rinse and repeat. I think this week for you, based on your check-ins and a lot of what I've been seeing, is this week is more of like, let's see if we can just, build that baseline, right? Let's really establish a solid baseline. We're not really here to make money. We're here to find consistency. We want to look down at our trades this week and be like, man, I got a solid 60, 70% win rate. My average win to loss is a 3 to 1, right? The goal is let's establish that baseline. Let's boost your confidence. Then let's start scaling back into some size, knowing that the money's going to follow, right? So I think that's going to be the goal for this week that I have for you. Let's just reestablish that baseline. What does that look like? And let's build on top of that. But that means 1 or 2 contracts, not 5 or 10. That means 1 or 2 contracts. Remove the emotions a little bit and just get back to the basics, do what works, get those trades logged, and let's start readjusting based on that data. I love it. I love it. And then we'll start scaling back up, man, little by little. Kevin! First day in the Zoom. What's up, brother? How are you doing today? Nothing much, brother. You feeling pretty good today, boss? Did you do your morning routine again today? Nice, man. So you feeling pretty good? How would you do your mental assessment for the day on a scale of 1 to 10? You feeling pretty good, dialed in, 50-50? How you feeling? Gotcha. So Mondays, got a lot going on at work, maybe some external distractions that would take you away from being super dialed in and focused on the market. So yeah, some goals and intentions for you. It's like, I would say, wait for the market to come to you. Don't go after the market. Just wait for the market to come to you. Be super patient, super disciplined, sit back on the sidelines until one of your stocks comes to you. And when it comes to you, let's just analyze it. Let's see how price reacts, how price develops. If you want me to take a look at what you're looking at that time, once it comes to you, just for that extra clarity and confidence, let's take a look at it. That's what you're here for. But I would say for you, man, it's just sit back on the sidelines, be calm, cool, comfortable. when the market starts coming to you, let's start actually building some plans and seeing like, hey, do we even have a trading opportunity in the, in front of us in the first place? Exactly. I love it, brother. Great way to come into the market, man. I love it. Good mindset, good attitude. Let's crush it today, buddy. Yeah, you guys don't even have to have the videos on. Just access to the mic and then screen sharing capabilities. You guys don't have to have the webcams on if you don't want. I don't have them up anyway. Well, I can't do two webcams at the same time. It spazzes my computer out. Corey, come on in, man. You don't have to be a loner. Yeah, I got the Zoom open for you, boss. So I'm just really watching the SPY here because the SPY broke that zone and looking to see how price develops as we return to the zone. There's just one of two things that are going to happen that indicate a possible trade for me. Break and retest for the next leg up. That's where we look to play calls. Since we were breaking that zone, we just need to see that zone hold and good price development. But if this is a false breakout, we come back below that zone, I'll just be looking for a lower high to form at that zone to indicate now it's time for some puts. So I'm just really waiting to see how, price develops and how price reacts at that key line in the sand zone. 435.82 to 435.90. That's the make or break. Let's see how price reacts and how price develops at the zone. And again, this could give us a nice out of the gate trade to the long side or the short side. It just depends on what do we do here at the zone. Back below that zone. So if we come back into it, put in a lower high, and we have good price development, that's going to be an area where I'm looking for some possible puts here on the SPY, guys. And again, I'll just look at today's expiration, November 6th. I've been, I'm okay with trading 0 DTEs. So November 6th, probably like some 435 puts. Right now around 70 cents a piece, 75 cents a piece. I just want to see how price reacts and how price develops at the zone. We just broke it, but we came right back down below it. And if we see a lower high set in at that zone, and we have good price action and good price development, that could be an area where I'm looking to get short for that potential lower high off that key zone of what is now going to be resistance. So let's see what the SPY does here. Again, that key zone that I'm watching is 435.82 to 435.90. Tesla, not really even close to where we need it just yet. Yeah, really just the SPY here.